Hello again, it's Noob, and today we're going to look at this 8-piece HUK lockpick set, and these have been around for years and years. I've just never really got around to playing with them. What are they? Well, as you can see, they are one-piece metal lockpicks. So this appears to be just one piece here. I don't know whether they've somehow welded the tips on or whether this is just ground down to become, you know, from this thick handle all the way down, sort of ground down to a tapered thickness of the tip. I'm not sure how they put this together. I think your guess is as good as mine. There are some little marks underneath here where the shank meets the handle, so it's possible that these are somehow welded or soldered or whatever, brazed on at that point. They are weird. They look like they'd be heavier than they are, so I'm not sure what metal this is. I don't think it's probably a very good one. But because these are so thick, they are at least, well, from my experience, durable, and they do convey feedback really well. I've actually got some calipers here, so let me just pop these on, and we'll see in inches how much they taper from the top here, 43 thousandths of an inch, all the way down to, and they range because, you know, imagine they're hand finished. Oh, turn it back on, make it into inches again. Inches, I said, and then so we had what, 43 thousandths to about 29 thousandths of an inch. So 29 all the way up to, yeah, 41, 44. So you can see there's a quite a big taper, 37 as you get 30, all the way to the tip, which is about 29 thousandths of an inch, which is, for those of you who prefer millimeters, the tip at its thinnest is around 0.73 millimeters, all the way up to just over 1 millimeter in thickness at this end. So the only thing going for these in terms of the thickness is that the shank heights are quite low, at least for these slightly odd-shaped picks, which we will discuss a little later. You can see that even the shank heights are particularly tall, but I don't think that these are meant to be used in standard domestic pin tumblers. I think these are for automotive locks and a few other applications, but we'll come on to those in a minute. So, you'll also notice that there are some turning tools, and these are vaguely useful. They're not bad, I guess, but they are what they are. There's a little twisted L wrench turner there and a Z wrench, which I'd normally use for dimple lock picking, but you can use these for other locks too. Now, when I do demonstrations, I normally use just the turning tools that come with the kit. I don't think I've got the luxury of doing that with a set with so few turning tools, but I'll try my best. These aren't necessarily bad, they're rudimentary, but they're not bad. But there's only 2 of them. The case it comes with, actually quite nice. It's just like a sunglasses case really, but it's not terrible quality. It's got a little bit of sponge in here, which isn't the best quality, and as you can see, it's got a little bit of like pock marking from where the picks have dug in. But you can just remove these inserts if you want. I think it just stops them sort of rattling around too much. But yeah, it's not a bad little case. Got the HUK branding on there. And let's then look at the profiles. What do we actually get? Well, we've got 3 what I'd call standard type lockpick profiles here in varying depth. So we've got, these are numbered 4, 5 and 6, although I've put them as 4, 6 and 5 because I think that's in general height order. So 4 is actually a very nice shaped short hook. Genuinely, it's really nice. 6 is a sort of short to medium hook, and then 5 is almost like a gem style hook. It's just a little bit off in terms of the angle. If you've just filed it off by a tiny amount to be a nice gem, otherwise it's sort of like a flat top medium hook. These aren't bad. Shank heights, not bad, although this one is a little bit thick. This will impact what locks you can use it in, combined with the general thickness of these picks. Then we come on to these, which are a little bit more odd. Now, I do see these types of shapes in a lot of Chinese brand lockpick sets, and these are these strange, not quite right angle, sort of dog leg, big, broad, flat topped hooks. Now, yes, you can use these genuinely as a standard hook or lockpick, but The shank heights here are really broad for number 2 and 3, very, very high, and it's not many locks you can actually get these in, combined with the height of the pick tip itself. One is slightly more like a flat topped hook, but again, that weird dogleg angle. I think that these are meant to be used in automotive lock picking, and I've got a demo of what that would look like, and also in those sort of like Carver style open keyways. I've got an example of one here, and again I'll show you that in a second too. So we have our ragtag bunch of lock picks. Let's pick some locks open. So for a first test, I actually want to try picking something like this very small keywayed paracentric ABUS 6050. So this is quite a small keyway lock. It's got that paracentric keyway. We're going to be using the short hook, which is, again, can we just appreciate how thick this gets? And what I found when I was practicing with this is that the first few pins are so much more comfortable and easy to sort of access. Although when you're pushing them up really far, you do notice that you're trying to fight against the warding a little bit with this. But again, we got into a full set by picking that first pin to almost full height actually, and just going to go along and try to pick any other pins that I can feel that are needing setting. Lots of counter rotation because obviously there's loads of spool pins in these little abuses, and we do have an open, but you know that it felt clunky. I'll be honest, it did feel a little bit clunky. You do notice that extra thickness, so I think I might go over to some sort of master locks with nice big wide open keyways. So yeah, let's move on to some master lock XLs or Magnums. I think if you're a new picker, you'd probably, you know, you were getting a budget set like this, you'd be picking a lot of locks like this to begin with. So let's try that with the medium hook. I've got the twisted turner in here, and we're just going to go in and see what we can do. This shouldn't be as problematic because of that really big, comparatively wide open keyway that these master locks have. And again, it's just there, that's one open. And yeah, like I said, very wide open keyway, so the extra thickness on these picks won't interfere as much. Go in here as well, see what we can do. Same medium hook, just going along the pins, just one by one, just nudging them up, and again we've got the open. And yes, you can use these strange little dog leg block picks to pick standard pin tumblers too, but they again just feel odd and a bit clunky when you do. They don't sort of feel right or intuitive, and the tip doesn't slide through the keyway as smoothly as you would like, so it makes it a very odd picking experience in this style of keyway. This type of lockpick profile, however, is really nice at picking the wafers in car door locks, especially old ones like this General Motors lock that I've got here. So if I pop some turning force in here and I'll get my flat topped hook, this actually feels for the wafers in here really nicely, and the broad tip does mean that you get onto those wafers really comfortably as well. Just going to flip this over and try to pick the wafers which need to be picked the other way up as well. You hear those nice clicks I go through. So yeah, I think that these are generally meant for, there we go, got the open, generally meant for automotive lock picking. I have another automotive lock here, which is a see-through one, but it's a slider lock, and if you look down that keyway, you might just be able to make out the little tabs that ride the cutout on a key like this. So and you can see how this would go in, and then these wafers would slide up and down the key like that until you could open the lock. So we'll have a go at sort of picking this, even though it won't be like a blind pick. So we're in the vise, and yes, we can see all the wafers, but that makes kind of a good demo because you'll see what I'm doing as I'm doing it. You can see that we've got the tracks here either side of the key, where the little tabs on the wafers, either on the right or the left, jut out into the keyway to ride this track, and therefore they're either pulled up or pushed down in turn, which is what we're going to do with this little flat topped hook. We're going to put it in at 90 degrees and then either turn it right hands way on the right hand way down to push the wafers down, or on the left up to pull the wafers up. but we'll also need a turning tool, and this from a whole different kit. But let's not worry about that. And then what we can do is we can try to go in and find the little tabs inside the lock and manipulate them by just pulling down anything that's binding on the right hand side like this. And then we go into the bottom, we just do the same thing, but this time we're sort of lifting these wafers up, and we can just keep going along and try to find these binding wafers, lifting their tabs. There's clearly one all the way over here which needs to be sort of set. I think this second wafer here does too, and again we just need to find anything which needs to be set and lift it up. Oh, that felt all so good. I think we've got one more sort of at the bottom here to lift maybe, and yeah, we've got an open. Look at that. Yes, we could see what we're doing, but still it does work. Another use for these lock picks, and it's not great, I think they're meant to be for automotive wafer locks, but they can be used. I would probably like to thin these down a bit at the tip to manipulate the pins in this type of lock, like this Carver style lock. And yeah, this isn't a great lock here, but I think that if I thinned this down, you could use it. So what I might do is I might just splice in me picking this lock, or the last few seconds of me picking this lock with this hook, because the demo would probably be too long for a quick review video. So there we go, a few demonstrations for you. I hope you enjoyed it. But what do I think to this? Well, I like to go through some pros and cons and things, and I did buy this with my own money. So what did it cost me? Well, it cost me £13.39, which is around $15 US or thereabouts. And I did get it from AliExpress, not a sponsor, but I think you can pick these HUK 8-piece kits up from a number of different places. In terms of their overall comfort, finishing and all those kind of things, well, the fact is that these are actually quite comfortable. They got good feedback. The finishing of them is perfectly adequate. They're nice and smooth, well rounded, no sharp edges. So that is good. The actual hooks that you get, the actual standard hooks, are a nice profile. They are. So let me just try and find them for you. There you go. These are all nice, very usable profiles. They do have, on the shorter hooks, nice thin shanks as well, at least in shank height. In terms of width though, that's where all of this falls apart. These feel at best clunky in locks. They are very, very wide. If you're only going to pick things like wide open American style low security lock keyways like master locks and the such like, then these actually work really well. And if that's where you wanted to start and you didn't have very much money and you got this set, I wouldn't think that you couldn't pick some locks, or you wouldn't have fun if you did just buy this set. Some people just buy a kit because that's what they saw and it looks good, and that's fine. I think we all start like that sometimes when we're lockpicking. I certainly bought some real shockers of Chinese sets when I first started out, but I did learn to pick with them, so there is that. So I don't think that you would have a terrible time as a beginner picker with these nice profiles, and they are sturdy. They are very thick, but they are sturdy, and so for a new picker who might be a bit heavy-handed, these might be all right for those circumstances. For these, let's call them automotive lock picks, again, they're all right. They don't work very well as pin tumbler picks because of that almost right angle rise on here. It doesn't feel intuitive when you're moving past the pins in the keyway. They do work very well in automotive wafer locks though, which is, I think, really their point. So, again, they're nice and thick and robust, and their extra thickness is not a disadvantage in that application. They might not work very well in more modern or higher security car or automotive wafer locks, but again, for lower security applications, these are actually pretty decent picks, although most beginner lock pickers won't want to have that type of profile, and that's where we come to the negatives. So the negatives are that 3 out of the 6 lock picks you get here are virtually useless for most beginner lock pickers. They just are. A lot of beginner lock pickers aren't going to start with automotive locks or specialist locks like Carver style, 8, 10, 14 pin locks, whatever. That's just not where you're going to start. So these are, for the most part, useless. And then you're left with 3 picks. And for the price of £13, $15, you could probably get a half decent starter set from, a major US or German or UK based brand, I guess, for not much more, if at all. So yeah, it's really hard to say get this vaguely okay set of 3 picks. It just doesn't seem economical. You could actually grind these down, take some of the front edge off, smooth out the back edge, modify these sorts of profiles to make them more like pin tumbler picks, and they could be useful, but again, are beginners going to do that? Certainly professionals won't want a kit like this because there's so much better out there, even if you have to spend quite a bit more money. If you've been picking locks for a while, you know that it's sometimes worth it to spend a bit more money, spend $50, $60, £50 on a set, maybe even less, and you can get so much that lasts you a lifetime and will be professional. The other things are, these are really thick. They're very wide. Even at their thinnest, they are thick. They're 0.7, 0.8 at the very tip, and then going all the way up to 1mm at the other end. Combined with these large shank heights on some of these picks, it does really limit what locks you can use. Again, as I said, wide open American style keyways, not really that much of a bother, but since, like I said, 3 out of the 6 picks are not going to be that useful for a lot of beginner lock pickers, and they're the only group of people I think would be tempted to buy a set like this, it's really hard to recommend it. The other thing is, of course, as okay as these turning tools are, there's only 2 of them. I don't really prefer twisted L wrenches, although it works fine, and this is awkward to use outside of dimple lock picking, I find, although you can use it for standard pin tumblers too, but it takes up quite a lot of the keyway, and it doesn't take up an intuitive angle for getting tension in those locks. The case, it's alright, and it does store everything that comes with this set and has actual room for more if you wanted, but I think even though it's only about $15, £13.39, I just, and I don't mind cheap Chinese sets, but there are better ones for not much more money than this, and this is a very hard recommend, I have to say. A couple of the lock picks are perfectly okay, but that's as good as it gets. Anyway, let me know what you think to this set in the comments. Did you have this set? Do you agree with me? Do you think this is actually a brilliant set and perfect for beginners? Or, like me, do you think it's actually just not worth the money and it's best avoided, especially if you're a beginner lockpicker? Let me know in the comments. I do read them all and reply to as many as I can. If you like this video, leave a like. If you haven't subscribed and want to see more content like this, then please do subscribe. It really helps me out. Otherwise, stay safe, happy picking, and I'll see you all next time.